First of all, my namaskaram to all of you, wherever you are. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Our life consists of experiences. The unit of life is experience. And experience, one is the object of experience, the other is the experiencer. Anubhava Vishaya, Anubhavita. Object and subject. Since experience is the unit of my life, so the quality of my life depends upon the quality of experiences. And therefore everybody wants to improve the quality of one's experiences. It is very natural. And to improve the quality of experience, general approach followed is, I would try to improve, means what I am confronting the world, that I want to improve. The comfort, food, dress, music, whatever I am confronting, I want to of most of the people. That if I improve the quality of the object of experience, then my experience will improve and thereby my life will improve. And this approach seems to work to some extent. If I have better food, I will feel happy. I listen to better music, I will feel more happy. And that is the approach people know, and that's what they follow. But this approach has got some limitations. First of all, in this approach, we are ignoring another important factor. We are only taking care of one factor of experience, and that is the object. We are ignoring the subject, the experiencer. And therefore this approach is lopsided approach. Another limitation of this approach is the variables are many. And if I try to make some adjustment in one place, something else comes up there, another place. And so as long as I am dependent upon setup, every now and then I get upset. Opposite of setup is upset. So I get upset because setup consists of various factors. And all the factors are not under my control. And therefore every now and then I feel frustrated, disappointed. And therefore one needs to look into one's approach towards life. If I keep on changing, trying to change the world and thereby becoming happy, then my happiness, my peace will be unstable. And therefore some people find the limitation of this approach, the approach of becoming happy by changing the world, which is a materialistic approach. And they try to focus on another factor, the factor called oneself. The experiencer is called Atma, and very poorly translated in English in some places as spirit. So what is said is said Atma in Sanskrit is correctly translated as the self and poorly translated as spirit. So the person who has started giving the importance to the correction in oneself, roughly called spirit, that person is called a spiritual person. So the point I want to highlight is, a person can be called spiritual when he or she has started giving importance to make corrections in oneself, giving the importance to self growth, inner growth, rather than making changes only in the world. So spirituality is the commitment to inner growth leading to self discovery. In other words, when a person has stopped blaming the world for one's unhappiness, disturbance, and has started to correct oneself, then we can say that person to be spiritual. So spirituality starts when blame game stops. When you stop blaming the world for your insecurity, disturbance, unhappiness. And in spirituality, not so much importance is given to the external change. Many people think that spirituality means wearing mala. In fact, generally I don't wear mala. Just to give the means I have become spiritual. Growing beard, I have become spiritual. Or staying in the ashram, spiritual. Or growing hair, I have become spiritual. So all these things are not really the main features of spirituality. A spiritual person may do all this. He may wear mala, he may grow beard, he may grow his hair because he doesn't have time and mind to go for haircut every now and then. But growing hair doesn't make you spiritual. Like scientists generally will have glasses, but doesn't mean all the people who have got glasses are scientists. So one needs to know the essential feature of spirituality is I commit to self-discovery. So the spirituality, if you have understood in this manner, then our approach towards our sadhana will be proper. And as I said, in spirituality there are two discovery, other is inner growth. What do we mean by self-discovery? Discovery or the knowledge of oneself is called self-discovery. Then some people may ask this question that why do we need to know the self? In fact, we know the self already. Everybody knows I am. But my knowledge about myself or my understanding and expression about myself exhibit confusion. Because sometimes I say I am fat, and sometimes I say this is my body. So I am fat, when I say it means I am as good as the body is. And sometimes I say this is my body. So I am not sure whether it is I body or my body. And therefore it looks like that a person is confused about what one is. I say I am fat, I am a man, I am a woman, I am dull, I am intelligent, I am emotional, I am angry, I am a son, I am a daughter, I am father, I am mother. What exactly you are? And A general law is that invariable is separate from variable. I am is invariable in all experiences. My being father, mother, son, daughter, fat, lean, emotional, angry, all of them are variables. And invariable is separate from these variables. In Shastra they give the example that the thread which is invariable in all flowers in a garland, the thread is different from all the flowers. So I am is common in all my experiences. My being father, mother, son, daughter, etc. is variable, and therefore I must be different from all these roles I am playing. Then who am I? That is to be discovered. And the discovery has to happen by using the appropriate means of knowledge. Because any knowledge requires means of knowledge. And for discovery of the self, we cannot use our eyes, ears, etc. Because the self is not available for the eyes to see, ears to hear. You cannot hear the sound of the self. You cannot see the color or the shape of the self. Therefore, perception will not be the means of knowledge. Inference also cannot be decisive means for the knowledge of the self, because inference is based on pratyaksha, and therefore pratyaksha or anumana, perception or inference cannot become the means. And the only means available or presented in our tradition is the Shastra Pramanam, Shabda Pramanam, the Pramanam in the form of scriptures. And with the help of the scriptures, we understand the nature of the self. And when we understand the nature of the self, then I am free from ignorance and ignorance born conclusion about myself. And when my understanding about myself changes, my perspective about myself changes, to the world changes. This connection needs to be understood well. How I look upon myself decides how I will look upon the world. If a person thinks that I am cheated by the world, so who am I? I am cheated. Then his response, his approach to the world will be different. A person who thinks that I am blessed, his approach to the world will be different. So in relative sense also we can see this fact. How I look upon myself decides how I look upon the world. And my perspective about myself and the world will decide my response. And my response will decide the quality of my experience. And therefore, it is very important to know oneself, to change, to improve the quality of one's experience. And this self-knowledge, which is going to be the solution to the problem of ignorance and ignorance-born conclusions, is possible when I have got some inner growth. And inner growth comprises of certain factors. I would like to share with you some of the factors. A person can be said to be grown up inwardly when a person has got objectivity in life. What is objectivity? Objectivity means seeing up inwardly, is the one who has got objectivity about all the objects, people and situation. Means he will not look upon any object for what it is not. For example, money has got buying power. So if I see money as the means for buying things, it is objectivity. Comforts, objectivity. Money can smoothen certain transactions, objectivity. But if I look upon money as source of my sense of insecurity problem, money will get me rid of this sense of insecurity. Money cannot give me freedom from sense of insecurity. You tell me how much money you require to be free from sense of insecurity. Tell me one amount. Universally accepted amount. Tell me, rupees or dollar, then I will be free from insecurity. Is that accepted by all? I don't think so. No amount of money can give me sense of security. There is no amount. Puja Swamiji used to say that they will say, Swamiji, after earning this much money, I will go back to India. So they will say like that, Swamiji, within 1 year or 2 years, I will meet my target and I will go back to India. Then after 10 years, Swamiji meets the person is still there in the US. Why? His target is changed. So he thinks that now this much amount is not enough. This much amount is not enough. So there is no amount which can make the person feel secure. So money is useful. But if I look upon money as the solution to my problem of insecurity, it is subjectivity. Similarly, relationship with my parents, with my spouse, my children, my siblings, my friends is very important for my emotional growth. But if I look upon relationship as the means for fulfillment in life, then it is subjectivity. In fact, many people feel disillusioned because they expect too much from the relationship. They think that if I get married, my spouse will make my life fulfilled. Nobody can make your life fulfilled. You have to make your life fulfilled. So expecting the sense of fulfillment, complete some relationship, that is subjectivity. So objectivity means seeing the object as it is. If I look upon relationship as the means for emotional growth, it is objectivity. So objectivity is a sign of inner growth. Second thing which is the mark of inner growth is relative sense. Who has inner growth will have relative self-acceptance. Complete self-acceptance comes only after self-knowledge. But relative self-acceptance is a sign of inner growth. What do we mean by that? When I have relative self-growth, a relative self-acceptance, I will not look down upon myself. I will not look upon myself as victim of my destiny. I will not that I am cursed by destiny. In fact, when there is relative self-acceptance, there is a general feeling of being blessed. I am blessed to be what I am. I am blessed to have whatever I need. And self-acceptance also implies that I will consider myself to be capable of, fit for the spiritual pursuit, fit for the pursuit of moksha. Many people think that, Swamiji, I don't think I can get moksha. It is impossible for me. That is lack of self-acceptance. When you have got self-esteem, healthy self-esteem, you consider yourself to be deserving of happiness. You consider yourself to be fit for the pursuit you want to take up. In our context, a person thinks that, yes, I may have some limitations, but I am capable of pursuing freedom, capable of pursuing self-knowledge. If that attitude is there, and there is a general feeling of being blessed, then a person has got relative self-acceptance. And that is a sign of inner growth. The third sign of inner growth is the mind of the person is relatively calm, not restless. There is no physical restlessness and no mental restlessness. A person is composed enough to pursue self-knowledge. And one more sign of inner growth is expansion of the mind. Person does not have narrow-mindedness. Person doesn't think that me and my family alone. Person will think in terms of the well-being of totality. A person does not harm others' interest to fulfill one's own interest. That person is called the person with expansion. As it is very beautifully said in our Eva Kutumbakam. So when a person has got inner growth, this is an indicator that person is having expansion of the mind. Broad-mindedness is that. Like the Prime Minister of India said, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So you always take everybody along with you. Don't ignore the totality while taking care of individual. That is the sign of this inner growth. One more sign of inner growth which Pujya Swamiji used to emphasize so much, and that is compassion. When you grow, when you have got inner growth, when you have maturity, you will be more and more and what emphasized in our Shastra is desire for self-knowledge. Desire for self-knowledge is a sign of inner growth. When you have inner growth, then your mind will start thinking, what is the goal of life? What is the purpose of human life? And thus, slowly you will inquire about the purpose of life, and you will have desire to know the self. And that which something which is connected to this is, you will have goal and the means. That also is a sign of inner growth. Pujya Swamiji used to use the word Purushartha Nishchaya. Purushartha Nishchaya means what? Ascertainment of the goal of life. I think all of you have studied Bhagavad Gita. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadho vidhiyate. Before that, Vyavasayatmika buddhihi. So, in the 40th sloka or 41st sloka, it is said that Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakha hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. So, when you have got clarity of the goal and means, you will be unidirectional. Means, you will be following the track. You will not be distracted. You will not have back and forth of inner growth. Question would be that how do we have this inner growth? Inner growth comes by leading a prayerful, dutiful life. Dutiful life in a given situation. Playing one's role properly. Following the script of the role properly. And following the role with prayerfulness, with the awareness of Ishvara. Thus, life of Karma Yoga gives you this inner growth, which comprises the factors which we discussed: composure, compassion, clarity of goal and means, and Atma Jignasa, the desire for self-knowledge. And when a person is mature, has inner growth, then he or she will go to the source of self-knowledge. The source of self-knowledge is the scripture. But the scripture cannot be studied. One needs to take the help of the teacher. So self-knowledge, when we say, it is not the knowledge by the self, it is the knowledge of the self. And this self-knowledge is to be gained by studying the scripture and this sadhana of studying the scripture with the help of a competent teacher is called Shravanam. So, and this Shravanam will give you the vision of the scriptures, which is the vision about yourself. Many people have this question that Atma is inside, then why should we study the scripture outside? That question comes because people have not understood the place of the role of scriptures. Puja Swamiji used to give a very good example. The example of mirror. If I want to see my face, what should I do? I have to take the help of a mirror. So even though I am looking at the mirror, my commitment is not to see the mirror. My commitment is to see myself with the help of a mirror. Similarly, when I am studying the scriptures, my commitment is not to study the scripture. My commitment is to scripture is like looking at the mirror to see my face. Similarly, yes, studying the scripture is not for the purpose of studying the scripture. It is meant for getting the vision about myself, getting right understanding about myself. And once I have got the vision, I am free from ignorance. But that how the vision of the scripture can be right? My experience is that I am like this, scripture is telling something opposite. Therefore some doubts can be there. And those doubts are resolved by the sadhana called mananam. So listening to the scriptures with the help of a teacher is Shravanam, and resolving the doubts is called mananam. And after that some habitual errors are there, they are resolved by the sadhana called nididhyasanam. So Shravana, Manana and nididhyasanam are the means for getting the vision of myself and assimilating the vision. What do we mean by assimilation of the vision? Assimilation means the vision of Shastra about me is no more the vision of Shastra. It has become my vision. Now I consider myself to be a human being. This is not that somebody has taught and I said that these people are telling that I am a human being. I know that I am a human being. Similarly, when I say I know that I am limitless self, it is not a matter of belief for me. It is a matter of fact for me then there is assimilation of this vision. And for that we have the sadhana of nididhyasanam. So Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasanam help me to get the... And you have been taught already, so I need not talk too much about what is the vision about the self. But just to briefly mention, Shastra gives me the vision about myself by starting with the Drik Drishya Viveka. Means seer seen discrimination. Shastra says, to know what you are, you follow this path. You are different from that. So all the objects of the world you are aware of, and so you are very clear you are not that. The computer in front of me, I am aware of. It is available for objectification, so I am not the computer. Similarly, the dress, even though it is very close to me, but I am aware of the dress, I am not the dress. Shastra says you go one step further. The body also is something you are aware of, so it is a drishyam, it is an object. You are someone who is aware of this body. So I am aware of this body, and therefore I am not this body. Further we go, sense organs, I am aware of, I am not them. The mind, I am aware of, I am not the mind. Who am I? I am aware of this body, senses and the mind. I am awarer. I am awarer is my relative introduction. Who am I? I am the content of awarer, called awareness, otherwise called consciousness. So who am I? I am consciousness. Not limited, manifesting through this body, but not confined to this body. Like light is illumining the object, but consciousness manifesting through this body mind sense complex, not limited by this body mind sense complex. And I consciousness do not have limitation of space, limitation of time, because I was, I will be, am. And limitless is called Brahma. So I am Brahma, limitless consciousness. And I, limitless consciousness, alone am the truth of this entire world. And therefore, I am Sarvatmakam Brahma. I am limitless reality, the truth of everything, manifesting as everything. Sense of limitation. And sense of limitation alone is the bondage. And thus this knowledge makes me free from sense of limitation. And therefore this knowledge is called Mukti Sadhanam, the means for freedom. But this knowledge to be effective, I need to be qualified. And for qualifications, we require the sadhana of Karma Yoga. And therefore the vision of Shastra about moksha is, you purify yourself by the sadhana of Karma Yoga. Yoga consisting of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasanam. And by the sadhana of Jnana Yoga, you discover yourself to be free. And one important thing is, Shastra doesn't say that you become free. I think you have disowned your freedom. And Shastra helps you to own up your freedom. You must have heard the story of the 10th man. When that teacher tells the 10th man that you are the 10th man, he is making the person discover that he is already the 10th man. Similarly, Shastra make you study the Shastra our approach has to be that I am not going to become free by the study of Shastra. I am already free. Let me see how I am free. It is not the way of becoming free, it is the way of discovery of freedom. And my commitment to the discovery of the self and my commitment to this inner growth, that is called spirituality. So let us understand this spirituality properly. My commitment is called spirituality. Therefore, spiritual pursuit means the pursuit of inner growth, the pursuit of self-knowledge. All other things are incidental. Changing the dress is incidental. Staying in the ashram, incidental. Wearing rudra, growing beard, not growing beard, incidental. Superficial. It has nothing to do with what really spirituality is. Therefore, let us not connect spirituality with a particular place, particular dress, or particular even lifestyle. Only sannyasis are spiritual, grihasthas are not spiritual is not correct. Only those who are staying in the ashram, they are spiritual. Those who are staying at home, they are. Those who are wearing white dress or orange dress, they alone are spiritual. Those who are wearing colored dress, pant, shirt, saris, they are not spiritual. Not correct. So let us not connect spirituality with external things. Let us understand the inner essence of spirituality and understand the significance of this spiritual pursuit. Many people ask this question, that isn't spirituality selfishness? Means when you are having this spiritual pursuit, aren't you become selfish? This question can be answered in two ways. First of all, we say that there is no absolute selflessness. If we analyze, nobody is absolutely selfless. Everybody has got some amount of some type of selfishness. Sometimes we feel that the people who are dedicated to social service, they are selfless people. They are selfless people, they can be called selfless people, but they are not selfless in absolute sense. Why? Because if you ask them, why do you do this social service? Enjoy it. When I see a smile on the face of a poor child, it gives me so much joy. It means what? He or she is doing social service for what? One's own happiness. Therefore, nobody is absolutely selfless. But still, we have some working, practical definitions for selfishness and selflessness. Let us understand it well so that we will not have unnecessary complexes or unnecessary guilt. We can say selfishness is pursuing one's happiness, ignoring others' pursuit of happiness. When I pursue my happiness, when I work for my happiness or my growth, I ignore or even adversely affect others' growth, others' happiness, then I should be called selfish. When I take things from people and I don't contribute, I am selfish. Others' happiness. It is not a person who is committed to inner growth will be an asset to the society. Because a person who has got inner growth, as we have seen, the one sign of inner growth is expanded mind. Therefore, he will be including others' happiness in one's own happiness. And therefore, selfishness is pursuing one's happiness, ignoring or adversely affecting others' happiness. That is called selfishness. This is what? Not ignoring others' happiness, in fact, including others' happiness in our pursuit of happiness, that is called selflessness. When you are including others' happiness, when you are not ignoring others' happiness while pursuing your own happiness, you are a selfless person in relative sense. Absolutely selfless nobody is. A person can be called selfless when he is mindful about others' happiness, when he tries to include others' happiness, and therefore we need not have any guilt about having spiritual pursuit. Of course, you need not be careless about your duties, irresponsible in playing your role, but spending some time for attending classes is also a part of human pursuit, and therefore we need not have any feeling of guilt while attending classes, doing japa or whatever sadhana helps us for inner growth and self-discovery. Clear about what spirituality is, what is the role of spirituality. The spirituality brings harmony in my life. Spirituality brings harmony in the society. Spirituality makes the person non-violent, and therefore there will be non-violence in the society. Big blessing. More people have the spiritual pursuit, more harmony there would be in life. There will be more harmony in the world. Let more and more people discover value for spiritual pursuit in real sense, and let everybody be blessed by the parampara and the Lord. With this I conclude. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yes.
Swamiji, can you hear us?
I am hear you. I am not seeing you, but I am able to hear you. Okay, I can.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yes.
We heard you very well.
Okay.
And the audio was very clear.
Okay, good.
And thank you for giving us the message of, if I may call it, what is spirituality, and a word that many people use in different contexts, and they mean different things. And so Swamiji explained to us how to think about it. So I'm extroverted and focusing on so many things. So I'm gaining experience because I want to improve my experience, and then but we are ignoring one important aspect in that experience, which is the self itself, the anubhavita Swamiji mentioned. And so by focusing on that oneself, the person who is committed to focusing on that oneself, using the shastram, and thereby committed to self growth and eventually studying the shastram, that person may be called spiritual. I think that's the message Swamiji gave today, with many examples and with all the factors that characterize inner growth, and like objectivity and so forth, compassion, things like that. So Swamiji, the audio was very good. We understood everything you said.
Good.
And I think now our friends may have some questions. So
Okay.
I would like to invite questions from the audience. I'm going to set it up so that you can unmute yourself at any time and ask your questions. If you can raise your hand, we can. Yeah, Anjali Pinjala, and after that Sunita Chivenda.
Yes, I am not seeing anybody's face here.
Namaskar, Swamiji and Jai Kumarji. I have a question about the
Yes.
limitless understanding of free from limitation. Swamiji, can you expound on that a little bit more as far as free from limitation? It's such a huge concept for me. I am not totally understanding what would that look like, or what would that mean?
First of all, I would.
Swamiji, you
Okay.
have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I'm not used to. Okay. Now are you able to hear me? Amma, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So can I see you? I cannot see you now. Okay. Okay. I would like to see the person whom I answering.
You can go to gallery and view some.
Okay. Yes. You are there. Anjali.
We can do that. Some.
Yes. Yes. So Anjali, feel yourself to be limited in any way? Yes.
I am getting you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm following what you're saying and help myself to be less limited is some of the things I have written down here from your lecture is...
Amma, I have asked one question. Do you feel limited? My question is, do you feel limited? I am asking this. Do you feel limited?
I do feel limited.
In what
Yes.
in what way you feel limited?
So I think I need to do more self-acceptance
Okay.
and be more objective rather than subjective. Those
Good.
I think of the different steps you have talked about as far as inner growth. Those are the two major ones for myself that I feel like I need to work on.
Good. See, when you discover yourself to be what really you are, then the self non-acceptance will go away. Because self-knowledge is acceptable one. When I discover myself to be what really I am, then I see myself to be completely acceptable. So when you understand yourself to be really you are, you will be free from this self non-acceptance. Completely free from self non-acceptance. Because the fact is, you are free from all limitations. When you see yourself to be free from all limitations, you are naturally acceptable to yourself. When you identify with something what you are not, then only you become non-acceptable. You will say, my memory is not good, my temper is not good, my body is not good. Your non-acceptance is always centered on what you are not. Are you getting what I am saying? Your non-acceptance is centered on what you are not. Anatma. If you see yourself to be what really you are always acceptable. And therefore, this self-discovery will help you to discover self-acceptance. That is one answer. Second is to have you bring the understanding of Ishvara as order or not in my life. I am acceptable to Ishvara, I am acceptable to myself. Therefore, I am acceptable to Ishvara, I am acceptable to myself. There is a very beautiful way of seeing at oneself, looking at oneself, that how Ishvara will look at me. If you see Ishvara if you see yourself through the eyes of Ishvara, so that is a relative means for self-acceptance. You look upon yourself from the understanding of Ishvara. How Ishvara, you have to understand what Ishvara is. So when you understand what the Lord is in the form of order, and you see yourself from the standpoint of order, you will see yourself acceptable. Another point you said, objectivity. More you try to be committed to the facts. Let me see the fact of a thing rather than my superimposing. Let me see what is. Let me be committed to what is. Let me not project my own thinking and use appropriate means of evaluate a situation, to understand the situation, to understand any object. Then more and more you will be objective. First of all, you develop the value for objectivity. Value for objectivity is the first step for developing the objectivity. And whenever you see the subjectivity in yourself, analyze the basis for it. Why are we becoming subjective? Because of our past impressions. So let us learn to see the situation without the glasses of our impressions, glasses of our past experiences. Let us learn to see things afresh. More and more you develop that habit, you will be more objective. And as I said, first of all, have the value for being objective. We find security in subjectivity.
So,
Yeah. Please tell me. Because we don't want to think like some people say, I don't want to go to the clinic or laboratory because some result will come and it will be frightening. So some people want to remain in fool's paradise, So let us come out of that fool's paradise. At least have the value for coming out of it. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Anybody else?
thank you so much, Swami.
Namaste.
Thank you so
Namaste.
much.
Namaste.
Thank you, Swami.
Yes.
Sunita Chavendra.
I want to carry on, please. Huh? Namaste, ma. Namaste. Are you able to see me?
You can.
Okay.
Yes, I'm able to
Because
see.
I am not seeing what I am doing to you. Okay, you are able to see me. Okay. Please.
Oh, I'm able to.
Yes, yeah. Please tell me, ma.
You kind of alluded to the answer a bit, answering Anjali ji's question. But my question was, you mentioned that how do we have inner growth? It is by leading a prayerful and dutiful life.
Yes.
Having the presence of Ishvara in your life.
Hmm.
So my question was, what is the role of Ishvara in our spiritual life? And how do we convert how do we have an accurate worldview, or how do we convert our perceptions that become reliable and valid in our path, in our spiritual path?
Last part I didn't understand. How do we make our perception valid? How do we?
World perception, how do we convert it?
Okay.
How do we validate those perceptions?
Yeah. If perception is valid, you validate. Invalid perception, you need not validate. Anyway, let me come to your question.
How do I know?
That whether it is valid
How
or
do I
not.
know that it is valid or invalid?
Yes. Means of knowledge for knowing, we have got scripture as the means of knowledge. And one basic thing, there are basic principles which we understand from the scriptures and the teachers, that nothing in this world is source of happiness. So if I look upon some object to be the source of happiness, then understand that you have got some subjectivity. Happiness is not the quality of the object. Happiness is something superimposed by me. So if I am looking upon some object as the source of happiness, as the source of security, understand it is subjectivity. And other thing is that if you are not afraid of analysis about the object, know that you are objective. In objectivity, there is openness to the inquiry. Means you are ready to change your opinion. Puja Swamiji used to use very nice expression. Whenever you say anything about any object, you say, in my perception it is like this. Don't put a full stop. You say, in my perception this object is like this. Using this word my perception, you are expressing your openness to correct. So in objectivity, there is readiness for analysis. There is openness to correct oneself. So that is how you will have this understanding that you have objectivity or not. And you don't make conclusion before analysis. Before understanding the object, before listening to other person, you don't make conclusion. You can have some provisional conclusion sometimes required, but make sure that they are provisional conclusion. Don't make a rigid conclusion. In objectivity, there is no rigidity. Yes. And if required, if you have a doubt, we can always consult our elders, our guides, that this is my conclusion about this situation. If you have a doubt, please consult. In our Shastra it is said, whenever you have a doubt in life, you consult the learned people. Because life is very dynamic. Some guideline principles can be given, everything cannot be taught, isn't it? And therefore, we mind can have provisional conclusion ready to correct. And if doubt, you consult the learned people. Okay. Namaste.
Thank you, Swamiji.
All right.
Mohan Sai Krishna.
Okay.
Hyderabad.
Namaste. I am not able to hear you.
You're not audible, Mohan Sai, not audible.
Ah.
Very
Right
feeble.
now,
Very feeble.
Now I am able to hear little bit. Right now I heard. Yeah. Please tell me.
Namaste Swamiji.
Namaste.
You actually alluded this little bit in your lecture today. My basic question is, I wanted to know what is moksha. We call mukti, moksha. We say like it's getting rid of the birth and death cycle.
Did I use that
we
word?
also
Did I say that?
Reaching the Lord's feet
Ah.
or getting unified with Him, with the Lord. So all this, you rightly said. I mean, maybe this is, I learned a lot about the relative self-acceptance. Sometimes it seems so distant, so impossible to reach.
Yeah, many things look distant, but
Can we
then
even go? Can we even so I wanted to know the concept from moksha, mukti, jivan mukti. Are these all same? And what does it really mean for people who are we can say like spiritual path, and what is the end goal?
I think you have asked so many questions. Let us go one by one. First of all, I will talk about moksha. You said, what is this moksha? I think that is your question, isn't it? First question, if I have understood clearly. Okay.
Yes, Swami.
Moksha means freedom from bondage. To understand moksha, we have to understand bondage. Do you feel bound or not? That is my question. First of all, question is that. Do you feel bound or not? Do you feel bound or do you feel limited in any manner? Do you feel bound?
We definitely, bounded by so many things in the world.
Okay,
from worldly
okay.
experiences.
So, freedom from the bondage which you are experiencing now is called moksha. I am not talking, but did I say in my talk that freedom from Janma Marana cycle and reaching the lotus, these words? I did not say. Freedom means, moksha means freedom from the bondage which you are experiencing. Let us not talk about anybody's this book description. Are you feeling bound or not? Freedom from that bondage which you are experiencing is called moksha. Let us not have any other definition. Freedom from the bondage which you are experiencing is moksha. Is it a workable definition or not? Or it is too theoretical?
Yes,
Is it theoretical?
it is.
Is working definition or not? Can you conceive this idea or not? Freedom from the bondage which you are experiencing.
Conceive the idea.
Yes.
But
Then how it is possible we will discover.
100% achievable.
Yes, that doubt remains initially. But we say that yes, it is achievable. It is achievable. One pramanam is Shastra, other pramanam is Vidvat Purusha. We have seen the people who have discovered the freedom. And therefore, we have reasons to accept that I am capable of getting that moksha. Initially, one would have some apprehension because of one's background. That is why relative self-acceptance is not there. So, when relative self-acceptance is there, you will find yourself to be capable of pursuing moksha. You will see the sense of possibility. because of your strong background of non-acceptance may make you think that it is impossible. Like somebody who is very diffident will feel, I cannot become graduate, I cannot become, because he is feeling so diffident. But if he works, it is possible. So first of all, one has to see the sense of possibility of moksha, and that itself requires some inner growth. That is why I said inner growth, one sign of inner growth is self-acceptance, capable of pursuing moksha, seeing moksha as a solid possibility. Rare possibility is a solid possibility. Yes, I can become free, I can discover freedom. Why not? It is possible. Is it clear?
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay.
Definitely, I think with
Let us be honest, yeah, no problem.
definitely clear.
Yes. Okay. Namaste. Have we done with it? Yes. Jai Kumar ji? Are you there? Jai Kumar?
I'm here, Swami. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Rajeshri, you had a question?
Anybody has question? Anybody?
Yes, Swami.
Yes.
There is one more.
Okay.
I just want to know, I heard the word Purushartha Nishchaya and Mukti Sadhana. Can you please explain that?
Now
Purushartha Nishchaya and Mukti Sadhana. Can you please explain
yeah, what does it
the
mean?
meaning of that?
Okay. Nishchaya means ascertaining. Purushartha means the human goal. Purushartha means, Purusha means a person, Artha means goal. So Purushartha means human goal, and Nishchaya means ascertaining, making up one's mind. That is called Nishchaya. So Purushartha Nishchaya means ascertaining, making up one's mind about the human goal. What is the goal of my life? I am becoming clear about it, then it is called Purushartha Nishchaya. Nishchaya, ascertainment. Understanding clearly is called Nishchaya. Understanding firmly and clearly is Nishchaya. Purushartha is human goal. So Purushartha Nishchaya means ascertaining, understanding very clearly what is the goal of my life. That is Purushartha Nishchaya.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. What else you had asked? Something else?
Mukti Sadhana is the moksha.
Mukti sadhana means the means for moksha. The means for moksha is self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is possible by the purity of the mind, and purity of the mind is possible by karma yoga. Therefore karma yoga, I hope you have been given the idea about karma yoga. So karma yoga is the indirect means for moksha, mukti sadhana, and self-knowledge is the direct means for moksha, mukti sadhana. So mukti sadhana means the means for freedom, and they are of two types: direct, which is self-knowledge, and indirect, karma yoga. Is it clear?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So Jai Kumar ji, shall we conclude, or is there anybody else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we will conclude, Swamiji.
Okay.
Just one show of hands. Let's see if there's anybody else who has a question. Yeah, Girish ji has a question, Swamiji. To be the last question. Go
Okay.
ahead, Girish ji.
Does God exist?
Yes, God exists. Yes.
Does God exist?
Yes, God exists. Yes.
Okay. Then how do we relate in our day-to-day life?
God can be related to by seeing Him as order. What makes a given thing is the order. Means, for an example, if object is falling down, there is a physical order. That physical order can be appreciated as Ishvara. So you can appreciate Ishvara in various ways, and one of the effective ways is to appreciate Ishvara as the order. That which makes a given thing that particular thing. A pot is a pot because of certain order, and that order is Ishvara.
Yeah.
You are the way you are because of the order. That moment you can appreciate Ishvara's presence. I am able to talk and you are able to hear. That is because of the order, and that order is Ishvara. You are sad, then also sadness is governed by the order. You can appreciate Ishvara. So every moment in every experience you can appreciate the presence of Ishvara as the order. There are other ways, but this is one of the important and useful ways of appreciating Ishvara's presence. Most fundamentally we appreciate Ishvara as the existence, but for that we require more subtlety, more preparedness. Appreciate Ishvara as the very existence of everything. But before that, it is better to appreciate Ishvara as the order. Alright, shall we conclude? Okay.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Swamiji, do you have a few more minutes? If you want to go, that is fine, Swamiji. We can conclude. There is one more question also, but it is all right, Swamiji.
No, it's okay. I am available. Let us conclude. Let us today do it, because
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, Narayanji, go ahead.
Yes.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
My question is, what is the role of free will if everything is Ishvara?
Last part I could not hear, but I have understood your question.
What is the role of free will?
When is?
Because everything is Ishvara's order. Because when we are in this path, we understand at the point that everything is Ishvara's order.
In Ishvara's order itself, there is a provision for free will. I have understood your question. Question is, what is the role of free will when everything is order of Ishvara? My answer is, in the order of Ishvara itself, there is a provision for free will. So free will is not against the order of Ishvara. I hope the meaning of the word order has been explained. Jaykumarji, have you explained about the order? Jaykumar? Does not mean predeterminism. Order only is the law which governs the cause and effect, and therefore order does not interfere with the place of free will. Free will is a part of the order, and therefore we need not think that we don't have free will because there is order of Ishvara. Order of Ishvara does not mean that Ishvara has anything happens, it happens as per certain law. That is called order. If I do a right action, I get right result. This is called order of karma. I have freedom, I have free will to do a right action, good action. If I do a right action, I will get good result. That is order. And therefore there is allowance for free will in this order. Om Purnamadah Purnamid Purnasya
Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate.
Om Shanti Shanti.
Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.